Hello everyone, Ictus here, back again with another video. In today's video guys, I'm going to show you how to root the zSecurity merge CTF. Before we do that, I would like to thank you all because we just reached 600 subscribers on the channel and we are still growing. Also, only 28% of you are subscribed to me. So if you haven't already, please smash the subscribe button and it would mean a lot to me. Now, back to the video. This box is hard rated, so people with no prior experience with hard boxes will find this challenging. It is also said that this box is one of the hardest they have made. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to start off with a simple nmap scan, and I'm going to copy the IP of the machine and paste it on my command. The command I'll be using is nmap-sv-a. -sv probes all of the open ports and -a enables the OS detection. So now let me paste the IP over here and let's just give this some time to run. Great, now that we've got our search results, we can see that we have port 21, 22, 80, 443 and 3306 open, and we are interested in these two. We will have a look at FTP later, but for now, let's just try to access the web page that's hosted on the machine. I will paste the IP of the machine over here, and let's try to access it. So right here, we can see that this is some sort of an e-commerce shop. We can see some merge from zSecurity. We can see whether if the website is responsive or not. And yes, this website is really responsive. Let's try to log in with default credentials. So we cannot log in with default credentials. Now let's try to run a Go Buster scan on the website, and we'll do further investigation for the source code and we'll do some further investigation. The command I'll be using is go buster dir u which specifies the URL of the machine, and I will also specify the word list that I want to use, which is stored under this directory. Great, now let's run it and let's see what we get. While this is running, we can go ahead and do some further investigation. I'm going to try and see if I can find anything useful within the source code of the page. After carefully inspecting the source code of the page, we can see a comment which says, Jacob, please make sure to block access from viewprod.php to web users. So it appears that there is a PHP file called viewprod.php. Now let's try to access this PHP file. And we get an error. It says undefined index ID. So it appears that we have to specify an ID. And as you can see guys, we are getting the products for each ID that I input. So now, theoretically speaking, we can try to exploit this ID parameter and try to do an SQL injection. To do that, I'll use a tool called the SQL map. So what is SQL map? SQL map is an open source penetration testing tool that automates the process of detecting and exploiting SQL injections. So I'll leave this running. I'll name this tab SQL map. Now I will execute the SQL map command with the -h parameter, and I will get all of the possible parameters that I can use. So I can see right off the bat that I need to specify the website, and I also need to add /dump, because this parameter will dump DBMS database table entries, which is exactly what I want. So now let's execute the command and see what we get. As you can see, it is testing for SQL injections. If you get this, you should say yes. And now we are getting a critical error. It says, try to increase values for level and risk. So now I can do level 3 and risk 3. Now let's test again and let's see what we get. Going back to the Go Pasta scan, we can see that we've got quite a lot of entries over here. We can see uploads, admin, assets, CSS, JavaScript, and PHPMyAdmin. Let's try to access uploads, and we can see nothing over here. Let's go to admin. And we get a simple admin page. Let's try to log in with admin. And we cannot get into this. Let's see PHPMyAdmin, because sometimes PHPMyAdmin is configured to only run on localhost and be accessed only on localhost. So sometimes the developers will allow access to PHPMyAdmin from any computer. So now let's try to access it. And as you can see, it says access forbidden. So there is no misconfiguration over here. Let's go back to the website and on the SQL map scan. And as you can see, guys, it's still running. So we'll give this some time and I'll get back to you after it is done. As you can see, guys, the scan is done and we can see all of the users that have registered to the site. But these are not just the simple users. The people we are seeing here are administrators on the website. So now if I try to log in as admin on the admin page with the password that we got, we can see that we get the administrator panel. And now all of this is just great so far. Now something that got my attention was the FTP that was running on the Nmap scan, as we saw earlier, right here. So now, theoretically speaking, we can try to FTP to the server using the credentials from one of these accounts. So now let's try to FTP to the machine. I will copy the IP of the machine. It's asking for name. Let's try Sarah and the password. And we can see that we successfully log in as Sarah. Now let's try to list the contents of the directory. And we can see something really interesting over here. We are actually inside the root directory for the web server. So if we try to upload anything from this FTP connection, we will be able to access it from the browser. So now we can try to upload the PHP reverse shell. We can try to access it through the browser and we will gain the initial access to the machine. So now I will go back here and clear everything. Actually, let's keep the credentials. I will go here and clear my screen and try to locate the PHP reverse shell file. Here we go. This is the one. Now I will copy that and paste it to my current directory. And I will try to edit it and specify my own IP and port. Now let me have a look at my IP address. and I'll specify port 4444. I will save the file. I will change the name to cell.php. I will clear my screen, and now I'll go back to FTP and try to upload the cell.php file. So it says that the transfer was complete. Now if I do dir again, we can see cell right here. So now I can do cell.php, and before I do that, I need to start a netcat listener. The command I'll be using is nc-lvnp4444. Now this will listen on connections for this port, on this port. And now let's try to access it. Now going back to the machine, we can see that we successfully gained the initial access to the machine. So this is a great job so far. We have access to the machine, and now all we need to do is actually root it, and in order to obtain the root flag.txt. Now as usual, I will try to run a Python pty cell and then export term equals xterm. I will also do export term equals xterm, and now this will allow me to clear my screen. And now this is great. This is a great job so far. As you can see, guys, we did not log in as the Sarah account, so I can just become Sarah real quick with the credentials that we got before. And the password for Sarah is right here. And you can see, guys, as you can see, guys, we have the Sarah user over here. So I will clear my screen once again, and like I always do, I will try to check my permissions on the server as the current user. The command I'll be using is sudo -l. And as you can see, guys, we can run Python 3 as Jacob with no password. So this means that I can run sudo -u, and the u parameter will allow me to execute this command as another user. In this case, we want to run this as Jacob. So the command I'll be using is the pty cell that I used before. So the command goes like this. And as you can see, guys, we got the Jacob user. If we do ID, we can see that we are the Jacob user. So now let me clear my screen, and I'll do ID again. So right off the bat, we can see that Jacob has the LXD group in the ID result. This is a critical privilege escalation vector, and we can try to exploit it. So searching up on Google, LXD privilege escalation will give us this article, and if we scroll down, we can see an actual demonstration of how to do this. So I will follow all of these instructions, and I will try to exploit LXD on the server to become root. So I'll need to get this GitHub repository to my machine, and I will just follow all of these commands. Great, so now I have generated this Alpine image into my machine. Next thing I need to do is just start up a Python HTTP server, and I'll need to pass this file to the actual server. So I will head on to the TMP directory. And I will wget the file to the server. Since this file has a really large name, I will change the name of the file to just Alpine. Now I can go back to the machine and wget the file. As you can see, guys, it's trying to download it. And we have successfully saved the file to the server. Great, so now let's just follow the instructions. And we need to run this command. And as you can see, guys, we're getting an error. It says that the permission over here is denied. So I will need to go back to the Sarah user, and I will need to create this config directory and give it read-write access to everyone. I will use the same password as before. And now I will create that directory. I will change the permissions of this directory. Great. Now I'll clear my screen, and now I can just go back to the Jacob user. I will run this command once again. And as you can see, guys, this command is actually running now. Now if we do lxc image list, we will be able to see our image. There we go, here it is. Now let's follow the next commands. So now we're getting another error. It says no storage pool found. Please create a new storage pool. To do that, all we need to do is run lxd init. Now I will just press enter to all of the default values. And the pool must be generated now. I will clear my screen, and I will try the command once again. And as you can see, it created ignite. Now I can run the other command. My device added to ignite. Now we have initiated ignite, and I'll run the last command, which is this one. Now I'll do ID, and we can see that we are the root user on this image. So now what we need to do is actually head to the mnt root directory, and we should be able to see the contents of the root directory. So let's do just that. Now I'll do ls, and we can see the root flag over here. I will cut root flag.txt, and we can see an encrypted message. Now if you go ahead and decode this message, you should get the root flag and submit it to TryHackMe, and you should get the points for this machine. So that's it for this machine. I hope you liked it, and if you did, please smash the like button and the subscribe button if you haven't already. We are trying to reach 1K by the end of July, so if you could please just subscribe to the channel, it would mean a lot to me. So until the next one, goodbye.